The first warning that my world was about to get turned inside out came from an unexpected phone call. Mrs. Blackfeather, my neighbor from 2 doors down. She's an older lady, retired school teacher, always polite but sharp as a hawk. Her voice shook on the line, quivering just enough to tie a knot in my gut. "Thomas," she whispered, like someone might be listening in. "You need to come home. Right now. Your wife. Something's not right. 2 men went inside your house. I have seen them before, just not this bold. If you hurry, you might catch them in the act." Her words punched the breath out of me. My wife, Kayla, had been acting strange for a while. Distant. Cold. I figured it was the usual stuff, work stress, routines getting stale after 12 years of marriage. But this felt different. Worse. I jumped into my truck, heart hammering in my chest, and tore out of the parking lot like a bat out of hell. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned pale. Just the thought of someone walking into my home like they owned it, into our home, made my blood boil. As I turned onto our street, the whole neighborhood felt wrong. Still. Heavy. Like even the trees were holding their breath. Mrs. Blackfeather stood behind her lace curtains, eyes locked on my house like a soldier on guard duty. When she spotted me, she moved fast, swinging open her front door and pulling me inside before I could say a word. "Listen to me," she said, her voice just above a whisper, eyes flicking nervously toward my driveway. "She's in there right now. 2 men went in not 20 minutes ago. They parked a block away. But I've been watching them. And Thomas, this is not the first time." Her words sank in like cold steel. 2 men? I asked, my voice hollow. She nodded. "And always when you're at work." A fire lit in my chest. Rage, betrayal, fear, all tangled up into one sickening mess. I wanted to bust in and start yelling, but something inside told me to slow down. "Be smart." "Thank you," I said, forcing my voice to stay calm. "But I can't go in there alone. If I do, I might not be able to control myself." I stepped back outside and called the one person I knew would have my back. Derek, an old friend and former police officer. "I need you at my house. Now," I told him quietly. "Kayla's there. And she's got company. Bring your sidearm." Derek did not hesitate. "I am on my way," he said, then hung up. While I waited, I backed my truck up and blocked the driveway. If they were planning to walk out of there with smirks on their faces, they would have to get through me first. I popped open the glove compartment, pulled out my pistol, checked the magazine, and tucked it into my waistband. By the time Derek pulled up, I was shaking. Not from fear, from adrenaline. We moved together, silent and steady. The gravel crunched under our boots as we approached the house. I signaled for Derek to take the side door. I headed for the front. I paused at the door. Took one breath. Just one. I could hear voices inside. Laughter. Hers. I turned the knob and stepped in. Gun drawn. The air inside felt heavy, not warm, not cold. Just charged. My boots sank into the thick carpet as I crept forward, every step tightening the knot in my chest. Then I heard her again. Kayla. Laughing. That light, free laugh I had not heard in months. And then a man's voice, deep and relaxed, joining in. I looked back. Derek gave me a sharp nod. We moved forward, staying low, stepping carefully. The voices were clearer now, coming from the dining room. My breath caught in my throat. I turned the corner, and there she was. Kayla sat at the head of our table, swirling red wine in her glass like she was on vacation. Across from her sat 2 men, both leaned back, cocky, casual, like this was their house, not mine. Half-eaten plates of roasted chicken and garlic potatoes littered the table. Wine glasses glinted in the light. "Kayla," I said, my voice harder than I meant it to be. The room froze. She turned slowly, surprise flashing in her eyes before she caught herself and slipped into that cold, indifferent stare I had seen too often lately. "What are you doing here, Thomas?" she asked, like I had interrupted a meeting she forgot to mention. "What am I doing here?" I repeated, my voice rising. I looked at the 2 men who barely looked up. Their lazy grins made my blood boil. "This is my house," I said. "That is my table. And those are my walls you're laughing inside." She rolled her eyes, putting her glass down with an annoyed side dot. "They're just friends." "Friends?" I snapped. "The kind you sneak into the house when I am not home?" Her mask cracked. Her face twisted into something colder. "Let me guess," she said with a sneer. "Mrs. Blackfeather called you, didn't she? That nosy old witch." "Do not try to spin this," I barked, my voice shaking. "You have been lying to me. For months." That was when one of the men, tall, thick beard, smug as hell, stood up, brushing crumbs off his flannel. "Look, man," he said, raising his hands. We are not trying to start anything. Maybe take a deep breath. The nerve. You do not get to tell me to calm down, I said through gritted teeth. You're eating my food in my home with my wife. The second guy, shorter, heavier, chuckled under his breath. That nearly did it. Derek saw the fire building in me and stepped forward, voice steady but sharp. You two need to leave. Now, he said, resting his hand on the grip of his pistol. Beard guy glanced at Kayla, like he needed permission. She rolled her eyes and waved them off like they were nothing. Go. I'll deal with this. They shuffled out, mumbling something under their breath. I stepped aside, fists clenched, jaw locked. Once the door shut behind them, silence fell. Kayla stood slowly, sipping from her glass, her tone dry as dust. You embarrass me in front of my friends. Good job, Thomas. I blinked, stunned. You're serious? You've been sneaking around and I'm the one who should be ashamed. She dropped the glass onto the table. Oh, grow up. Maybe if you weren't so boring and predictable, I wouldn't have to look for other ways to feel alive. That stung like a slap. I stood there, stunned. This was not the woman I married. The woman I loved. This was a stranger in her skin. You do not even care, I said, voice cracking. About me. About us. She rolled her eyes again. Please. We both know this marriage has been dead a long time. I felt something inside me collapse. Everything I had held on to, the memories, the trust, the years shattered. I gave you everything, I whispered. She shrugged, lips curled in a cruel smile. Maybe you should not have. That is on you. I turned away, eyes burning. Derek stepped beside me and rested a firm hand on my shoulder. Let's go, he said quietly. She is not worth this. He was right. I looked back at Kayla. Still smug. Still sipping. Like she had one. She is not worth it, I echoed. But I wasn't done yet. Give me a moment, I told Derek. He hesitated, then nodded and stepped outside. I turned back to Kayla, who now sat on the couch, wine glass in hand, legs crossed. She looked like she was waiting for a punchline. Well, she said, full of sarcasm. Let me guess. Here comes the speech about how awful I am. Go ahead. I stared at her. Why? I asked. Was it money? Attention? Did you just get bored? She gave a cold laugh. You think you were some perfect husband? Please. You go to work. You come home. You eat dinner. That's your whole personality. You come home. You watch television. You fall asleep. Over and over, year after year, Kayla said with this dead look in her eyes. Living with you is like living with a machine. That's your excuse? I snapped. I work my ass off to give us a good life, stability, a future. I thought that's what we both wanted. Well, you were wrong, she said flatly. I want passion. Thrill. Things you clearly cannot give me. Every word felt like a jab straight to the gut. But I clenched my jaw and held my ground. I was not going to fall apart in front of her. So what now? I asked. You going to run off with one of those guys? Or both? Is that what gets you going? Her smirk faltered for the first time. Do not judge me, she hissed. You have no idea what it is like to feel stuck in a lifeless marriage. Stuck? I let out a bitter laugh. You could have come to me, Kayla. We could have talked, tried to fix this. Instead, you acted like a coward. You sneaked around behind my back. She stood up fast, fury on her face. No, you're the coward, Thomas. You hide behind your routines, your work schedule, your dumb idea of loyalty. Too scared to admit maybe we were never right for each other. That one hit harder than I expected. I had known things were rocky, sure, but I never realized she hated me this much. If that is how you felt, why stay? I asked. Why not just leave me and go chase whatever it is you're really after? Because I did not want to start over, she said bluntly. I liked the security. The house. Being your wife had perks. She paused, looking me dead in the eye. But that does not mean I was happy. Her words sat there in the air like poison. I felt like the biggest fool on earth. I had spent years believing we were building a life together. Turns out, I was just the foundation she walked over. You used me, I said, voice low and flat. You took everything I gave, and now you're throwing it all in my face. Oh, stop being dramatic, she replied with a lazy wave of her hand. This kind of thing happens all the time. People fall out of love. That's life. No, I said, my teeth clenched. That is betrayal. She rolled her eyes and grabbed her phone, thumbing through it like I was boring her. Are we done here? Because I have plans tonight. Plans. My voice cracked. Are you serious right now? What do you want me to say, Thomas? She said coldly. That I am sorry? That I regret it? Well, I don't. If you had been paying attention, we wouldn't be here. She was ice. I was fire. You are disgusting, I said, shaking. I do not even know who you are anymore. Good, she replied with a crooked smile. Maybe now you'll finally let go. I stood there, staring at the woman I once swore my life to. Every memory, the good, the beautiful, the honest, now felt like a cruel setup for this moment. Without another word, I turned and headed for the door. Derek was waiting out front, leaning against his truck. Well? He asked. It's over, I said, voice hollow. You sure? I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. Yeah, I'm sure. As we pulled away, I did not bother to look back. That house was no longer my home, just a pile of wood and drywall stuffed with lies and regret. The farther we drove, the heavier the truth sat on me. My whole life, the one I worked my hands raw to build, was a lie. And Kayla? She had already moved on. She probably moved on a long time ago. Derek did not say much. He never had to. He was the kind of guy who let silence do the work when words were not enough. But my mind? It would not shut up. Her words kept coming back. Maybe now you'll finally let go. Let go of what? The idea that I ever meant something to her? The belief that the person I loved was not a walking nightmare? I gripped the steering wheel tighter, teeth clenched, trying to breathe through the burning. You all right? Derek finally asked. No, I said after a moment. How could I be? I mean, what do you even do when the person you trusted most is the one who stabs you in the back? He sighed, resting his head against the seat. First, you breathe. Second, you realize this is not something you can fix. And definitely not with someone like her. People like Kayla? They do not change. They do not even feel guilty. I nodded, eyes on the road, hearing every word but feeling none of them yet. When we got to Derek's place, a simple ranch house outside town, he handed me a beer and we sat in the living room. He did not press. He just sat with me. And that helped more than he knew. So what now? He asked after a while. I do not know, I admitted. I cannot go back there. Not tonight. You can crash here as long as you need, he said. But you do need to think long term. You fighting for this marriage, or is this it? That hit me like a weight in my chest. Fight for the marriage? After everything she said? After everything she did? No, I said finally. She's not interested in fixing anything. She never was. Derek nodded slowly. Then don't waste another second chasing someone who's already gone. The next morning I woke up on Derek's couch, head throbbing, chest tight. It wasn't just the beer. It was the emotional wreckage. I picked up my phone and scrolled out of habit until I saw a new message. No name. Just a number I did not recognize. I opened it. It was a picture. Kayla. Sitting at a bar. One of the men from the night before beside her, laughing with a drink in hand. The timestamp? An hour after I left the house. I stared at the screen, my blood turning to ice. I had no idea who sent it. Maybe someone trying to stir the pot. But the damage was done. That image was burned into my brain. She was not hiding anymore. She was not even pretending to feel bad. You all right? Derek asked, stepping into the room. I handed him the phone. He took one look and whistled. Damn, he muttered. She's not even trying to hide it. No, I said. She never cared. So what now? I stood up, pacing. My hands shook with rage, sadness, shame all twisted up. I wanted to hurt her back, to make her feel every ounce of what she had put me through. But what was the point? Kayla felt nothing. Not guilt, not remorse. Not even embarrassment. I'm done, I said, stopping in my tracks. I'm filing for divorce. Derek nodded. Good. You're doing the right thing. You don't deserve any of this. I started making the calls, to the bank, to a lawyer, to anyone who could help me cut ties clean. And just when it started to feel like I might be getting some control back, my phone rang. It was Mrs. Blackfeather. Thomas, she said, her voice shaky. You need to get home. Now. I froze. What is it? I've been watching the house, she said. Kayla's there. But she is not alone. It's someone new. And they are arguing. Loud. I was already grabbing my keys. Fighting. Yes, she said. It does not sound good. Please. Hurry. I hung up and bolted. Derek was right behind me, hand on his holster, face hard. As we pulled onto the street, we saw Mrs. Blackfeather waiting in her driveway, pale as a ghost. She pointed toward my house. They're in there, she whispered. This time, I did not wait. No plans. No strategy. Just instinct. I burst through the front door, breath heavy, adrenaline flooding me. Voices roared from upstairs. Kayla's voice, high-pitched and frantic. You're insane. Get out or I'm calling the police. Then a man's voice, low and furious. Call them. Let's see what they think of your lies. The living room was untouched, but the chaos was clearly above. Derek was right behind me. Easy, Thomas, he said. We do not know who we are dealing with. I didn't care. I took the stairs two at a time, the shouting growing louder with every step. Our bedroom door was open. Kayla stood near the window, arms folded, trying to hold her ground. The man, tall, thin, wild-eyed, was pacing, shouting, red-faced. The second he saw me, he spun around. Who the hell are you? He barked, pointing like I was the one trespassing. I ignored him. My eyes locked on Kayla. Who is this? I demanded. Another one of your friends? She rolled her eyes and put her hands on her hips. Oh, do not start with me. Thomas, this has nothing to do with you, Kayla snapped. I blinked. Nothing to do with me? I repeated, my voice climbing. You've turned our house into a damn circus, and now there's some lunatic screaming in our bedroom. How does that not involve me? The man, tall, wiry, eyes full of contempt, took a step toward me. You must be the husband, he said, voice soaked in sarcasm. The clueless guy she's been stringing along. Watch it, Derek growled from the hallway, hand resting near his holster. His stare was sharp and steady, a warning that reminded the room I was not alone. Kayla threw her hands up like we were the ones being unreasonable. Oh, for heaven's sake. Everybody calm down. This is Chris. He is nobody, okay? He is just being dramatic. Dramatic. Chris barked, letting out a bitter laugh. Tell him the truth, Kayla. Or should I? My stomach twisted. I had no idea what this guy was about to say, but I already knew it was going to hit hard. What's he talking about? I asked her, my voice low. She glared at him, jaw tight. Shut up, Chris. You don't know what you're saying. Oh, I don't. He shot back. He turned to me, his eyes locked in. She's been lying to both of us. Playing you for the money, the house, the nice life. And coming to me when she wants everything else. Shut up. Kayla screamed, lunging at him. Derek stepped between them with a solid arm. Stay back, he warned. No more games. My hands were trembling. My chest heaved. I turned to her, barely able to keep my voice from breaking. Is that true? I asked. Have you been with him too? She froze, just for a second, long enough to say everything she would not admit out loud. Then she crossed her arms, her chin jutting up in defiance. So what if I have? She spat. You act like you're some kind of saint. You are pathetic, Thomas. Always whining about your feelings like that makes you some kind of hero. It felt like something inside me snapped. I stared at her, at this stranger who looked like the woman I married, but spoke like she had poison on her tongue. I gave you everything, I said, voice shaking. And this is how you repay me? Oh, please, she said, rolling her eyes. You are boring. Predictable. I needed more. Chris laughed, cold and bitter. Bet you didn't tell him about the money either, did you? Her head whipped toward him. Chris, shut your damn mouth. My blood turned cold. What money? Chris stepped forward, face twisted in disgust. She's been taking cash from your joint account. Thousands. Told me she needed it for bills. But she's been stashing it away for herself. You're lying. Kayla screamed. That's not true. But I already knew Dot. The signs were all there. Her sudden obsession with our finances, the unexplained withdrawals, the attitude shift. It all lined up. The truth was crashing in fast. How could you? I asked, barely able to speak. Kayla stared at me, blank and uncaring. She did not say a word. Chris turned and walked out. No one stopped him. His footsteps echoed down the stairs and out the door like the final nail being driven into the coffin of our marriage. Derek stepped beside me and put a hand on my shoulder. Let's go, Thomas, he said quietly. I nodded, numb, and followed him out. I never looked back. The ride to Derek's house was like driving through a fog. My whole body felt hollow, like everything inside had been scraped out and thrown away. Her words, her sneer, Chris's smug face, it all replayed over and over in my head. She's not just tearing your marriage apart, Derek finally said. She's robbing you blind. I know, I muttered. I will call the lawyer first thing tomorrow. You need to freeze your accounts tonight, he said. Every minute you wait is another dollar she could take. Do it now. I pulled out my phone right there in the driveway and opened the banking app. My heart sank. Chris had not lied. The money was vanishing in chunks, some small, some massive. And the last withdrawal had been made hours ago. She's drained nearly 10 grand, I said, my throat tight. That was the mortgage money. Derek clenched his jaw. That's not just betrayal. That's theft. Lock her out now. I did. I called the bank, canceled all joint credit cards, froze the accounts, and moved whatever was left into a private one under my name. Each call was like driving another stake into the ground. It was not just about heartbreak anymore. It was survival. Later, inside, Derek handed me another beer, and we sat across the kitchen table. "You're doing what you need to do," he said. "This hurts. It is going to keep hurting. But you have to rip the bandage off." I do not get it," I said quietly. "How did I not see this coming? How did I miss who she really was?" "Because you're a decent man," he said. "You believed in her. And she used that." Before the sun even came up, my phone buzzed. Blocked number. I opened the message and my stomach turned. "You think cutting me off is going to stop me? You are pathetic. I will get what I am owed, one way or another." I stared at the screen, my hands shaking. Owed? After everything she had done, she still saw herself as the victim? "Jessica?" Derek asked, looking over. "Yeah," I said, handing him the phone. He read the message, his jaw tightening. "She's bluffing. You already froze the accounts. She can't touch them. Unless she goes after something else," I muttered. "The house, the car, my reputation." "Then you protect yourself," Derek said. "Get your lawyer to write everything down. Save every message. Cover your damn bases." I spent the entire day running damage control. Lawyer. Paperwork. Sorting every financial document I could find. By evening, I was running on fumes. That was when the phone rang again. It was Mrs. Blackfeather. "Thomas," she said, voice tight. "You need to come over. Right now." "What is it?" "She's back at the house," she said. "And she has had people in and out all afternoon. I think she is trying to sell things." "Sell things?" I repeated, my heart dropping. "Like what?" "Furniture. Electronics. Anything she can lift. There's a moving truck in the driveway as we speak." "I am on my way," I said, grabbing my coat. Derek was right behind me. "You think she's really trying to pawn off your stuff?" "If she is," I growled, "she's about to regret it." "Stay calm," he said. "We'll stop her. Just keep your head." When we pulled up, my worst fears were confirmed. There was a moving truck in the driveway. Kayla stood outside, arms crossed, barking orders at two guys as they loaded boxes. I recognized the things immediately: the television, our coffee table, even the wedding china we had barely touched. "What the hell is going on?" I shouted. Kayla turned around, clearly annoyed. "Oh great. You are here." "Yeah, I am here," I snapped. "And you are not taking a damn thing." "Actually, I am," she said, arms folded. "Half of this is mine. You do not get to decide what I take." I let out a cold, humorless laugh. "You think after everything you have done, you are still entitled to anything?" She rolled her eyes. "You are mad because I finally stopped playing housewife." "Boo-hoo." I stepped closer. "You don't get to walk in here and take what you want after stealing from me." One of the movers, big guy, sleeves of tattoos, stepped between us. "Hey man, we are just doing what we were hired for. You got a problem, take it up with her." "Oh, I will," I said. "But no one is leaving until we settle this." Kayla pulled out her phone with a smirk. "Fine. Let's call the police. Let them decide what I can take." The threat caught me off guard, but Derek stepped in before I could speak. "Call them," he said coolly. "We would love to explain how you have been draining accounts and selling property that is not yours." That cracked her mask. Just for a moment. She cursed under her breath, then turned to the movers. "Forget it. Let's go." They loaded back into the truck, and the engine rumbled to life. I watched it disappear down the road, leaving behind a broken home and a hollow quiet. "She is not done," Derek said beside me. "This is just round one." "I know," I muttered, my fists still clenched. "But if she thinks she can tear my life apart and walk away clean, she has no idea who she is dealing with." "Then do not play her game," Derek said. "Outsmart her." That night, I stayed up late going through everything: bank records, messages, receipts. With my lawyer's help, I started building a case. A real one. Kayla thought she had broken me. She was wrong. Every transaction, every suspicious transfer, every cent she had siphoned off. The deeper I dug, the uglier the trail became. There were payments to unknown names, sketchy notations on bank statements, and even luxury purchases I had never laid eyes on. It painted a picture of a woman who had been planning her exit well before our marriage ever started to show cracks. Kayla had not just cheated. She had strategized, lining everything up to leave me high and dry while she walked away clean. Around midnight, my phone buzzed again. It was another message from her. You think blocking me out is going to stop me? You're pathetic. Watch your back. I stared at the screen. The words sent a chill right through me. Across the kitchen table, Derek looked up from his coffee. Another threat? Yeah, I said, showing him the message. He smirked slightly. Good. Desperate people get sloppy. Let her dig her own grave. The next afternoon, there was an unexpected knock on Derek's door. When I opened it, I was stunned. Chris, the guy who had blown Kayla's cover wide open, stood there looking like hell. Eyes bloodshot, clothes rumpled, like he had not slept in days. What do you want? I asked, keeping my tone flat. I need to talk to you, he said, his voice raw. It's about Kayla. Part of me wanted to slam the door shut, but something in his face stopped me. I stepped aside. Derek stayed standing nearby, arms crossed and eyes sharp. Chris sat down, fidgeting with his hands. Look, I know I'm probably the last guy you want to hear from, but there's something you need to know. I stayed quiet. Let him speak. She's dangerous, he said. Not just dishonest, dangerous. How so? I asked. He let out a long breath. She played me, too. I thought I was the only one. Then I found out about the others. When I confronted her, she lost it. Called me worthless. Said I was just a pawn. Then she started threatening me, said she'd ruin my life if I told anyone. His words hung in the air like smoke. I wanted to hate him, but the fear and regret in his voice were real. So why now? I asked. Why tell me this? Because she's not just looking to get out, she wants to ruin you, he said. You, me, anyone in her way. Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out a flash drive. This is everything I have. Texts, emails, voice recordings. She's been conning people left and right, hiding money offshore, lying to everyone. He slid the drive across the table. With this, he said, you can stop her. I stared at it, 1,000 thoughts running through my mind. Why give this to me? I asked. He looked down, jaw tight. Because I loved her, he said softly. I thought she was something special. But she used me just like she used you. I cannot take that back, but maybe I can help fix a little of what I let happen. I picked up the flash drive. And for the first time since this mess began, I felt like I had some power back. That night, I sat down with my lawyer and showed him the contents. His eyebrows climbed with every file. This is serious, he said. If even half of this is real, she's looking at more than just a messy divorce. Fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy, it's all in here. Can we use it? Oh, absolutely, he said. But we have to be careful. If she finds out we have this before it hits court, she'll go nuclear. I nodded. Understood. It was not about revenge. Not anymore. It was about accountability. Kayla had left a trail of damage, not just to me, but to everyone who trusted her. That night, I sat on Derek's couch with a glass of whiskey in hand, staring out at the quiet street. The flash drive sat in my pocket like it carried the weight of every broken promise. You ready for this? Derek asked. I looked over at him and nodded. Yeah, it's time she learns. You don't get to destroy people and just walk away. He raised his glass, and for the first time in a long time, I smiled. 2 weeks later, I stood in a courtroom that felt colder than any place I had ever been. Kayla was there, dressed to impress, wearing her usual mask of confidence. But as the evidence from the flash drive rolled out, that mask started to crack. Emails where she bragged about deceiving multiple men. Text messages mocking people who thought she cared about them. Bank records showing how she funneled money into offshore accounts. And worst of all, a recording of her voice saying, Thomas doesn't have a spine. He'll roll over, just like always. The room went quiet. The judge's face turned to stone. Her lawyer scrambled to form some kind of defense, but it was a losing fight. By the end of the hearing, the judge ruled in my favor. Kayla was ordered to repay the money she had stolen. Any claims she had on the house, cars, or other property were voided, all due to her criminal behavior. But the win was not just about money. It was the look on her face when it hit her that she had lost everything. She tried to save face, of course. Stormed out of the courtroom shouting about how I had set her up. But nobody believed her. The mask was off, and her lies had crumbled for good. Chris called me a week later. I heard what happened, he said. I'm glad she didn't get away with it. Me too, I replied. Thanks for doing the right thing. Yeah, he said quietly. Guess we both learned the hard way. In the weeks that followed, I started rebuilding. The house, once filled with reminders of her, became a blank slate. I tossed out everything. Her clothes, her photos, even the furniture she picked. Each empty space made room for something new. Something mine. Derek, as always, stuck by me. You know, he said one night while we grilled steaks in the backyard, this could have broken you. It almost did, I said. But maybe I had to hit the bottom to figure out what really matters. And what's that? Respect, I said. For myself. For the people I let into my life. I kept trying to fix something that wasn't worth fixing. I won't make that mistake again. Months later, I sat in a quiet coffee shop, thinking about everything that had happened. The scars Kayla left were still there, but they no longer controlled me. I had started therapy, reconnected with friends I had lost touch with, picked up new hobbies. Life was not perfect, but it was mine again. That was when a woman walked up to my table. Kind smile. Genuine eyes. Mind if I sit here? She asked, pointing at the empty seat. Not at all, I said, returning her smile. We started talking. And for the first time in forever, I felt something I had not felt in a long time. Hope. Not the desperate kind I once clung to with Kayla. This was different, quiet, steady, real. Looking back now, I know she taught me something, even if it was not what she intended. Betrayal will break your heart. But it will also open your eyes. It strips away the lies about who you thought they were and who you thought you had to be. If you are going through something like I did, let me tell you this. Do not let someone else's darkness consume your light. Stand up for yourself. Protect your dignity. And when the storm passes, let go. Not for them. For you. Because the best revenge is not anger. It is rebuilding something so good that those who tried to destroy you become nothing more than a shadow in your past.